In ordinary life, we often feel that we understand people quickly. After a few conversations, someone may seem dominant, competitive, accommodating, distant, generous, guarded, or self-focused. We notice how they speak, how they react to disagreement, how they treat weaker people, and how much space they take in a group. This ability feels natural because it is natural. Human beings constantly read one another. We observe tone, timing, expression, confidence, hesitation, and consistency. From these small signals, the mind forms an early picture of what kind of interaction may be possible. Yet this creates a problem. We can often recognize a person's style, but recognition does not always protect us. A people pleaser may see that someone is becoming controlling. A quiet employee may notice a colleague turning every situation into competition. A detached person may understand that distance is damaging a relationship. Still, the pattern continues. So the real question is not simply, why do people behave this way? The deeper question is, why do people continue participating in patterns they already understand? To answer that, we must look beyond labels. Dominant, submissive, pleasing, competitive, and detached are not descriptions of people. They are visible positions inside a relationship, and those positions begin to make sense only when we understand what the mind is trying to achieve through them. Before the mind decides whether it likes someone, it tries to predict them. This prediction is practical. Social life becomes easier when we can estimate who will cooperate, who may challenge us, who expects obedience, and who is likely to withdraw. The brain builds these estimates from repeated signals. It notices who interrupts, who apologizes quickly, who changes their opinion under pressure, who needs attention, and who remains steady when tension appears. None of these signals gives a complete picture, but together they create a working model. That model is not a final judgment. It is more like a map. The mind uses it to decide how much trust, openness, caution, or resistance may be appropriate. As new experiences arrive, the map can become more accurate, or it can remain distorted by old assumptions. This is why two people can interpret the same person differently. One observer may see confidence, while another sees arrogance. One may see kindness, while another notices dependency. Their conclusions depend partly on the behavior in front of them, and partly on the experiences they bring into the interaction. We therefore never read another person from a neutral position. We compare them with people we have known, situations we have survived, and roles we have occupied before. Understanding this matters because our first social prediction influences what happens next. The way we approach someone can encourage a certain response, and that response may appear to confirm the prediction we started with. Once the mind recognizes a pattern, it usually turns that pattern into a label. A person becomes dominant, submissive, competitive, pleasing, detached, or selfish. Labels are convenient because they compress many observations into a single word. But a label describes what repeatedly appears. It does not appear. Two people may both seem controlling, yet one may be seeking status while the other is trying to reduce uncertainty. Two people may both appear helpful, yet one acts from generosity while the other fears disapproval. This difference matters because similar behavior can serve completely different purposes. What looks like confidence may be a search for influence. What looks like distance may be emotional protection. What looks like cooperation may be a calculated exchange rather than genuine warmth. So instead of treating behavior as a fixed identity, it is more accurate to see it as a strategy. A strategy is a repeated way of responding that helps a person gain something, avoid something, protect something, or maintain something. This does not mean personality is unreal. People do have relatively stable tendencies. Personality describes broad tendencies. Strategy describes the immediate method used to manage a particular social demand, opportunity, or risk. But those tendencies are expressed through context, incentives, fear, status, and relationships. The same person may lead in one setting comply in another, and withdraw in a third. The useful question is therefore not only, what type of person is this? It is, what is this behavior trying to accomplish here? Once that question is asked, human behavior becomes less mysterious and far more precise. If behavior functions as a strategy, the next question is where that strategy begins. Most of these patterns are not created in a single moment. They develop through repeated experiences that teach the mind what works inside a particular environment. A child quickly learns which actions bring attention, reduce conflict, preserve approval, or prevent embarrassment. One may discover that obedience keeps the atmosphere calm. Another may learn that achievement earns recognition. Someone else may find that emotional distance reduces disappointment, while taking control creates a sense of predictability. These responses are not usually chosen through conscious reasoning. They are reinforced because they produce results. When a certain reaction repeatedly lowers tension or increases connection, the mind stores it as useful. With enough repetition, the response becomes automatic and begins to feel like personality. The important point is that adaptation depends on context. A behavior that was effective in one environment may become unnecessary in another. Yet the mind does not update every strategy simply because circumstances have changed. Familiar responses often continue because they are efficient, tested, and emotionally recognizable. This is why adult behavior can sometimes appear disproportionate to the present situation. The reaction may belong partly to the current moment and partly to an older learning process. A small disagreement may activate an old need to please, control, compete, withdraw, or protect status. Early experience does not permanently determine a person, but it often provides the first blueprint. Later relationships, successes, failures, and choices can modify that blueprint. Still, unless the pattern is examined, the original strategy may continue operating long after the environment that created it has disappeared. It survives not because it is always correct, but because it once proved useful. Every behavioral strategy is organized around a particular social objective. Some strategies seek influence. Others seek acceptance, distance, security, recognition, or freedom. The visible behavior is only the method. The objective underneath it is what gives the pattern its direction. A dominant person may try to shape decisions, control resources, or prevent others from setting the terms. A competitive person may compare constantly because relative position matters more to them than simple participation. A pleaser may offer time, agreement, or emotional support because maintaining approval feels more valuable than expressing resistance. A detached person may limit emotional exposure so that others cannot easily disappoint, pressure, or define them. A self-focused person may protect personal advantage by calculating every exchange according to benefit. Even generosity can serve different objectives, ranging from genuine care to the desire to become indispensable. The same strategy can therefore look admirable in one situation and damaging in another. Dominance may provide direction during confusion, yet become control when other voices are repeatedly ignored. Competition may improve performance, yet poison cooperation when every interaction becomes a ranking. Pleasing may create warmth, yet invite exploitation when kindness is offered without limits. This is why judging a strategy only by its surface appearance is unreliable. Its meaning depends on the objective being pursued, the cost imposed on others, and whether the person can stop using it when circumstances change. A healthy strategy remains responsive. An unhealthy strategy becomes rigid. The problem is not that someone seeks influence, acceptance, independence, or recognition. The problem begins when one objective dominates every relationship, leaving the person unable to respond in any other way. Rigidity turns a useful response into a default rule, even when it no longer fits that person or situation. A strategy becomes most visible when it meets another strategy. Relationships are not built only from individual tendencies. They are shaped by the way two patterns respond to each other. One person pushes, another yields. One withdraws, another pursues. One competes, another begins defending status. This creates what psychology calls complementarity. Certain behaviors invite predictable reactions. Strong control often produces compliance, resistance, or hidden resentment. Excessive accommodation can encourage someone else to demand more. Emotional distance may make another person increase attention, questions, or pressure. These responses gradually create roles. The more one person decides, the less the other practices deciding. The more one rescues, the more the other depends. The more one avoids confrontation, the more power shifts toward the person willing to create tension. This does not mean people deliberately design these arrangements. Most relational systems emerge through small, repeated exchanges. A request is accepted. A boundary is postponed. A disagreement is abandoned. Each moment seems minor, but together they establish what each person can expect from the other. Once the pattern becomes stable, both people may feel trapped by it. The dominant person may believe they must always take charge. The pleaser may feel responsible for keeping peace. The detached person may experience every attempt at closeness as pressure, while the other experiences distance as rejection. The relationship then begins maintaining the very behaviors that created it. Each response becomes evidence for the next. To understand why certain people seem to find one another repeatedly, look not only at attraction, but at compatibility between strategies. Some patterns fit together easily, even when the result is uncomfortable, unequal, or difficult to change. Familiarity can feel natural, and natural can be mistaken for healthy, even when the arrangement benefits one person more than another. Once roles become established, power begins to move through the relationship. Power does not always come from authority, money, or status. It can come from being less afraid of conflict, less dependent on approval, or more willing to walk away. The person who needs the relationship less often gains leverage. The person who can tolerate silence, disagreement, or emotional discomfort usually has more freedom to set terms. By contrast, someone who fears rejection may surrender preferences simply to preserve connection. This is why a dominant and self-focused person can influence a pleaser even when the pleaser understands what is happening. The issue is not a lack of awareness. The issue is unequal emotional cost. Saying no may cost the dominant person very little, while resisting may make the pleaser anticipate guilt, tension, anger, or abandonment. Control often grows through this difference. One person tests a limit, and the other calculates whether resistance is worth the discomfort. If the limit is repeatedly surrendered, the controlling behavior becomes more confident because it has learned that pressure works. Yet influence is not created by one person alone. It depends on what the other person is prepared to risk, tolerate, or protect. This does not excuse manipulation. It explains why some forms of pressure succeed while others fail. Power changes when the emotional cost of resistance changes. The moment a person becomes more willing to disappoint, disagree, or lose approval, the old arrangement becomes less stable. Boundaries matter because they alter the incentives inside the relationship, not because they magically change another person's character. Recognizing a pattern does not automatically create a different response. A person may understand exactly who is pressuring them, what tactic is being used, and where the interaction is heading. Still, when the decisive moment arrives, the familiar reaction often appears first. This happens because insight belongs to conscious thought, while practiced responses are stored through repetition. The mind can form a new conclusion in seconds, but the nervous system changes only after experiencing a new action and surviving its consequences. Someone may intellectually believe that disagreement is acceptable, yet their body still reacts with tension when another person becomes upset. They may know that refusal is reasonable, while guilt makes agreement feel easier. The older response wins because it is emotionally rehearsed, not because it is logically stronger. Change, therefore, requires more than identifying the pattern. the person must remain present during discomfort long enough to act differently. A boundary must be stated. A request must be declined. Silence must be tolerated without rushing to repair it. Each new response provides evidence that the feared outcome may be manageable. Confidence develops after action, not before it. Repeated experience gradually converts a difficult response into an accessible one. Awareness reveals the choice, but practice makes that choice available under pressure. Until then, understanding may remain accurate, while behavior remains unchanged. Breaking an old pattern does not mean becoming its opposite. A person who once accommodated everyone does not need to become harsh. Someone who preferred distance does not need to become dependent. Growth is not replacement, it is expansion. Psychological flexibility means having more than one usable response. You can cooperate when appropriate, resist when pressure becomes excessive, lead when direction is needed, and step back when another person is better placed to decide. This wider range changes relationships because other people can no longer predict that you will always yield, pursue, rescue, compete, or withdraw. Your response begins depending on the situation, rather than on a fixed internal rule. Flexibility also makes self-knowledge more precise. Instead of saying, "I am simply this kind of person," you begin noticing what different contexts bring out in you. Which environments make you guarded? Which people make you perform? Where do you become unusually passive, controlling, or distant? These questions reveal that maturity is not consistency of behavior, it is consistency of judgment. The goal is to respond from choice rather than compulsion. When your range increases, relationships become less automatic, and identity becomes less confined by the strategy that once defined you. Human behavior becomes clearer when we stop asking what people are and notice what happens between them. A person may appear powerful, compliant, distant, generous, or competitive, but none of these qualities exists alone. Every interaction creates conditions. Some invite honesty, others reward silence. Some allow disagreement, others make approval necessary. The relationship reveals each person's tendencies, but also what each is willing to permit, protect, or risk. This understanding changes how we observe others. It replaces judgment with attention. Instead of reducing someone to a label, we watch the pattern they create, the response they invite, and the cost required to remain inside it. The same attention must turn inward. Not to blame ourselves for every difficult relationship, but to recognize the part of the system that belongs to us. Freedom begins when a familiar role is no longer accepted automatically. Another person may remain the same, yet the relationship can no longer continue in the same way. Perhaps understanding people is not about identifying who they are. It is about seeing what becomes possible when they meet us.